precise ranking of the bloodiest battles of antiquity is difficult to achieve. Ancient sources tend to exaggerate the number of dead. But in the following we have compiled a top 7 according to the figures accepted by most contemporary historians. Don't forget to subscribe, so let's get started. 7. The Battle of Trivia or Trebia year 218 BC, over 24,000 dead, was one of the great battles of the Second Punic War, a battle fought between the Carthaginian forces led by Hannibal and the army of the Roman Republic led by the consul Titus Sempronius Longus. The Battle of Trivia or Trebia was one of the great battles of the Second Punic War, fought between the Carthaginian forces led by Hannibal and the army of the Roman Republic led by the consul Titus Sempronius Longus. In 218 BC Hannibal he had a heavy infantry of 20,000 men drawn up in a thin line, with Gauls in the middle and Libyans and Spaniards on the flanks, with 10,000 cavalry equally divided between the two wings, and, of course, Mago and his 2,000 men hidden in the back of the Romans. The Roman army was standard, with 16,000 legionaries in the center, 10,000 allied infantry on each flank, and finally 2,000 cavalry on each flank. Longus ordered his army to advance in traditional Roman fashion, slowly and in good order. First contact between the spearmen of the two armies. The Roman troops were fewer, probably tired, and of poorer quality than the Punic ones, and were quickly defeated. The Roman cavalry suffered in a similar way, and soon the Punic cavalry and spearmen were attacking the flanks of the Roman army. Only in the center the Romanians did it better. Even though Mago's attack finished off the Roman allies, it did not defeat the legions, which broke Hannibal's center. Without reserves, Hannibal would have been in trouble, but by now it was clear that the Romans had lost, and 10,000 legionnaires did not attempt to re-enter the battle, but fled back to Placentia. 6. The Siege of Jerusalem. The First Judeo-Roman War ended with the destruction of Jerusalem and the Temple on September 870 AD. The Roman legions, caught in a civil war between the Jewish political factions of the Pharisees and Sadducees, on the one hand, and the Zealots, on the other, tried to restore order in one of the most troubled provinces of the empire. But the guerrilla actions of the Zealots led to the burning of the city. Military losses were 30,000 soldiers, but 1.1 million civilians, mostly Jews come from exile to celebrate Passover, died. According to Josephus Flavius, another 97,000 civilians were taken into slavery. 5. Battle of Cannae 216 BC, between 45,000 and 90,000 dead. The Battle of Cannae was the worst Roman military defeat. According to ancient sources, between 45,000 and 90,000 people died in the confrontation between the Carthaginian troops led by Hannibal and the Roman army led by the consuls Lucius Aemilius Paulus and Gaius Terentius Varro. The arrangement of the Punic troops in the shape of a crescent constituted a trap for the Romans. The Carthaginian infantry surrendered the means of attracting the opponent, convinced of an easy success. The Carthaginian victory was complete. The Roman army was almost completely destroyed. Rome was saved only by the indecision of Hannibal, who chose not to march on the Eternal City. 4. Battle of Thymbra 547 BC, about 100,000 dead. The Battle of Thymbra was the decisive battle in the war between Lydia and the Achaemenid Empire. About 100,000 people died in the battle between the Lydian armies led by Croesus and the Persian army led by Cyrus the Great. The battle took place on a plain north of the Lydian capital of Sardis and ended in victory for the Persians against an opponent twice as numerous. The following year, the Persians occupied the city of Sardis after a 14-day siege. Following the victory over Croesus, the Persians occupied Asia Minor, including the Greek cities on the Aegean coast. 3. Battle of Chibi 208 AD, over 100,000 dead. The bloodiest battle since the end of the Han dynasty took place in AD 208 on the Blue River Yangtze at the place known as Chibi Red Rocks. Over 100,000 people lost their lives in this battle. Following the struggles of the late Han dynasty, 3 military commanders imposed their authority over China, Cao Cao north of the Yangtze, Liu Bei and Sun Quan south of the Great River. The Battle of the Red Rocks was probably the largest naval battle in history in terms of the number of combatants. The Allied troops led by Liu Bei and Sun Quan, about 50,000 soldiers, were able to achieve an unexpected victory against Cao Cao's much larger army. The latter claimed that his army numbered 800,000 men, but according to the estimates of Zhou Yu, a general in Sun Quan's army, Cao Cao commanded about 220,000–240,000 soldiers. 2. Battle of Kalinga, 262 BC, about 200,000 dead. The Battle of Kalinga marked the peak of the Maurya Empire, 321 to 185 BC, which unified all of India for the first time in history under Ashoka the Great. Legend has it that Ashoka renounced violence and embraced the peaceful way of life of Buddhism following the Battle of Kalinga, tormented by remorse over the destruction and bloodshed. According to estimates given by Ashoka the Great himself, more than 200,000 people were killed during the campaign in the Kingdom of Kalinga, located on the east coast of India. 1. Battle of Changping, 260 BC, over 500,000 dead. The greatest slaughter in the ancient world took place in 260 BC. During the Warring States period, when 7 kingdoms competed for supremacy in China. According to ancient sources, more than 500,000 people lost their lives in the battle between the armies of the Zhao and Qin states. The Battle of Changping ended with the victory of the Qin kingdom, which would later unify China 221 BC. In the year 260 BC, the army of the state of Zhao, led by Zhao Kuo, launched a large-scale offensive against the kingdom of Qin. After the first clashes, Qin army units began to retreat, fooling the enemy that they could not withstand them. Zhao Kuo did not notice that his army was being lured into a trap in order to pursue and attack the enemy. In the Changping area, the Zhao state army was encircled by Qin state troops. Zhao Kuo tried to retreat, but it was too late. The Qin army immediately went on the offensive, blocking the road and encircling the enemy forces. Zhao Kuo tried to force his way out of the encirclement, but was killed by the enemy archers. The survivors of the Zhao army, left without a commander, laid down their arms. The commander of the Qin army, General Bai Qi, ordered the 400,000 Zhao prisoners to be buried alive.